We are as strong as our weakest link. I've heard that last night by Louis Simmons. He was talking about targeting weaknesses. He spoke about numerous accounts of people coming in with really impressive figures. It seems as though anyone that goes to Louis has really impressive figures to begin with. He doesn't really mess around with novices and people who have just come out of the womb. He usually deals with people who are advanced, and then he kind of works out their weaknesses, and then they make those weaknesses better than their strengths, and all of a sudden they're pulling 1,000 or whatever the case might be. So he talked about the ability of a lifter or a coach to work out what somebody's weakness is, and then giving them exercises, prescribing them exercises to correct those weaknesses, and then make those weaknesses as strong as the strengths. And then it's kind of like a step ladder, right? You're always kind of developing weaknesses as you are getting something stronger. It got me thinking about, earlier in when I was a teenager, I played basketball. That was my weightlifting right now. Like, it was all about basketball. I played Division I basketball all the way from maybe under 14s to under 20s. I didn't really make it to any super high level professionally, definitely not. But in my kind of local area here, I played Division I basketball, junior basketball, which is not kind of like Division I college basketball. Like they're not on par. It's not like that. But anyway, I dedicated a lot of my time to basketball, and I loved it. It was a passion, and I had some strengths and some weaknesses. Some of my strengths, maybe you could say that I could shoot the ball quite well, and I was quite quick on my feet. Really good first step, really good lateral shuffling, so I could really defend on the perimeter quite well. And I always had this natural kind of athletic ability to run. Never in like long distances, but I was quite quick on the first couple of steps. So looking at that period of my life and then thinking about what Louis is talking about, the first thing that I thought about was some of the weaknesses that I have. Some of the weaknesses I have, and there were many, obviously, if I didn't make it to a higher level. And I never really attacked those weaknesses. Some of those weaknesses, definitely the first thing is the left hand. I never really had the ability, I never really had the confidence in my left hand. So attacking the ring from the right side of my body, dribbling right, was no problem. I could beat a lot of people of the dribble on the right side, but going left was trouble. And so what defenders usually get taught, is to work out what somebody's dominant hand is. And when you play with somebody for a few minutes, you kind of realize what their dominant hand is. As soon as they take a shot, which side is their dominant. And so from early on, they taught us to send somebody to their, so instead of like guarding like this, you kind of turn your body. You turn your body to force them to go to their, non-dominant hand. So all of a sudden, I was limited basically to one side of the court. And so I couldn't attack anybody on the left-hand side. And if I did, it was only like a quick 1-2 dribble and then pull-up shot. It was never all the way to the rim because I couldn't really, lay the ball up with great degree of confidence with somebody kind of at my side and whatever. So thinking about that right now, if I could go back in time, the first thing I would do to a 14-year-old Ivan or a 12-year-old Ivan is I would just get him to work on his left hand. So just left hand dribbling skills, left hand layups, under the hoop, over the hoop, finger roll, all that stuff. I would just get really, really good with my left hand. Because that would allow me to all of a sudden open up the court. And so I don't have a weakness. And as a guard, it is paramount that you are really confident with the ball in your hand on both sides. There was some other weaknesses, but that was the glaring one that I always kind of think about, and I kind of kick myself for not putting in the time to do that. But the reason why I didn't work on those, on that weakness, is because it's not fun to do things that you're shit at, basically. It's not fun. I'd rather, put up some shots because I could shoot, right? And there's usually people around me that are, also practicing or working out with me or whatever. And so I want to feel good around those people, so I would shoot off the backboard, shoot from here, short corner, 3-pointer, 1 dribble, 2 dribble, pull-up shots, all that sort of stuff. So it's kind of like what's happening right now. I'm pretty good at narrow squatting, and it feels good to narrow squat. And, I load the bar up to this amount of weight, and I feel good every time I load it up. It does not feel good to do wide stance squats. it does not feel good to do box squats because, number one, the weight is pathetically light for me in terms of relativity to what I can do. And so automatically, I can see why a lot of people avoid to train their weaknesses, because it sucks. Nobody likes to do what they're not good at. So you could basically conclude from this, you could say that you should really spend a lot of your time doing things you don't like doing in terms of weight training, right? And I'm sure we all have exercises that we dread and we don't like. I never really enjoyed doing deadlifts because it was so taxing. I don't like doing RDLs. I don't like doing good mornings. I definitely don't like doing box squats. I don't like doing wide stands. So it's interesting, right? It's really, really interesting. So what I'm going to do now for the next, for the short future, I'm going to try and really focus on doing those movements that I just mentioned and really progressing them. So applying some sort of periodization to them, that I'm getting better at them. Obviously, my body needs to learn what muscles to use, and so that's going to take some time. But Louis Simmons says that when somebody first gets on West Side, not that I'm doing full West Side, I'm not doing that. I'm still doing kind of squatting every day with trickling some of his philosophies. When somebody starts doing some of those ideas from West Side, there's a drop in performance. And he says that's attributed to lack of GPP, or general physical preparedness, for those exercises. So some of these dormant muscles are now being awoken, and it's taken a lot of neural drive to fire them up, and the body doesn't like that because it's not used to that. And so there's a dip in performance, right? There's a elevated fatigue level that's spilling in from day in, day out. And so the best way to combat that is to not only do movements which are your traditional kind of like big movements. I've already mentioned them: squat, deadlift, RDL, good mornings, all those exercises that I need to do. But also do some hamstring curls, do leg extensions. Like he really spoke about doing some of these machine exercises to isolate the muscles which we need working for some of these new exercises. So anyway, this is something that I generally hadn't, number one, enjoyed doing, and I've kind of moved away from because I believed in compound exercises being more effective. But when it comes to expenditure of recovery points, it's a lot easier to recover on leg extensions than it is to squat. So these are some of the ideas that are going through my head. I'm sharing them with you guys. I need to work on my weaknesses. I know I've got a weak posterior chain. So there's two kind of ideas here. If you can really simplify squatting into two different departments. So you've got leg strength, and then you've got back strength. You could pretty much say that I've got pretty good leg strength, although I implemented sissy squats recently because I believed that my quads were lagging, and that's why I couldn't get over the 200 kilos. But now, after some thought, I think my posterior chain is really, really lagging. My glutes, the majority of my glute mass is not engaged. I probably have a weak lower back, and I have definitely weak hamstrings. I know that. I've always said that. So if I was to bring the posterior chain up, then all of a sudden my leg strength could really get demonstrated properly, because there's no, they have, the legs have stability from the posterior chain. So it's kind of like a, yin and a yang kind of thing. So anyway, I'm going to try and work on my posterior chain. It's probably going to be ugly in the next few weeks because I'm going to be tired and whatever. And it's all about putting in volume, progressing volume. That's one of the things that Louis also said. You need to progress volume. For somebody to go from 300 pound squat to 400 pound squat, more volume would have been done. From somebody to go from 500 or 400, whatever the case might be, to 1,000, the guy that's doing 1,000 is doing a shit more volume on everything. Obviously, I can't start doing what somebody's doing that's able to squat 1,000 pounds but I need to slowly kind of sneak up my volume so my body accumulates that work. And that's the trick of training. You can't just slap somebody with huge amounts of work and there's like a huge intensity spike of volume. So you need to kind of trickle it in, and that trickling in sometimes takes years, basically. So the best way to progress is to increase volume, and so that's what I'm going to try to do. I'm going to try and be patient and disciplined and not do stupid amount and end up in freaking ICU for recovery purposes. So yeah, I'm still going to try and narrow squat to begin with every workout, because going back to the basketball analogy, I had a pretty good shot and I had a pretty good athletic ability to defend people. So if I went back when I was 12 years old and 14 years old, that doesn't mean I'll completely drop off shooting the ball altogether and I'll completely drop off, doing sprints and whatever. You still need to work on your weakness, on your strengths to maintain them as a strength, but you need to spend a lot more of your time, a large chunk of your time, doing the weak things. So every day I'm going to come in here, I'm going to do as much as I can in terms of squatting. I don't even know what that's going to look like. Do I still go to a set of 5 with 140 maybe or something like that? Drop the intensity there. Not sure. But today what I plan to do is narrow stand squats, like my normal squats. And then I'm going to do some good mornings. I'm going to work them up maybe to 100 kilos, I don't know. And do several sets of that. And then I want to do some hamstring curls. And I'll do some rowing, maybe for upper back or something like that. Just really add attention to the posterior chain. So I've got 3 out of 4 exercises today, posterior chain. I'm gonna really get after it. All right, guys, let me warm up. I'll show you what I can do on the top set, what I decide to do with the top set of squats. And then we'll do some good mornings and whatnot. All right, guys. Surprise, surprise, it feels heavy again. So 140 kilos on the bar now. Just gonna do this for 5. What else am I gonna do, man? If I go to 170, it's gonna be a joke again. I won't be able to squat that, no way. Just everything feels heavy. Everything feels heavy. Even the bar freaking felt heavy when I put it on my back. So I want to try 140 for 5. Wow, man! Last week I was doing 170 for 5, and it wasn't even a problem. All right, let's get 140 for 5. Maybe I'll get a couple of sets out of this. I don't even know. The main show of today is going to be the good mornings anyway. But still gotta work on my shooting, right? Still gotta work on my strengths, so-called strengths. All right, let me get 140 for 5. I'm gonna try and make sure this is a perfect set. Let's see how it goes. So it does feel like 170, but it's not. Doing another set of the 140 for 5. Decided to call it quits there. The bar's moving really slow. Don't have it in me, so decided to kind of quit it there and get to good mornings. So I've set it up. I already did a couple warm-ups, so I'm up to 100 kilos now. Hopefully I'll do 5 sets here of 10, hopefully. But here what I'm doing, you'll see it in a second. You see I've got a bar at the bottom as well. So that bar, so I basically unrack the bar at the top, on my back, like I'm gonna squat it, walk all the way back until my shins are touching the bottom bar, and then I go into my good morning. The reason I do that is because I have some trouble gauging what my shin bones are doing, or my lower legs are doing. So the idea with good mornings is that your shins are vertical, completely vertical. And you want them to kind of go back and push straight in your back. So basically what I'm trying to hit here is the glute and the hamstring, and in order for me to do that properly, I need to make sure the shin bones are completely vertical, and this gives me a tactile kind of feel of what my shins are doing. So it's kind of like a feedback on the fly kind of thing. So Let's get it. Maybe an angle from the back will give you a better idea what I'm doing with this bar. Anyway, so this is set number 2. You get to have a look here from a different perspective of what I'm trying to achieve. All right, so I managed 5 sets of 5 sets of 10 of good mornings, and then I did some ham kills, 5 sets of 20 of that, and I'm absolutely rooted. I won't be able to do any rowing today. I'll leave that for tomorrow. But yeah, trying to attack those weaknesses. It's not sexy, it's not fun. You know, for me, it's not that it's not fun. It could be more fun if I was moving my usual weight. It kind of feels weird that I'm squatting. My performance is much less. But anyway, I'm doing something that I'm not accustomed to. So I get it. I get the overall picture. So it's kind of cool that I'm doing this. I feel like I'm on the right path. Certainly what Louis preaches makes a lot of sense. And I'd be foolish not to at least trial it out and see how I feel and how I go about it. This approach of attacking your weaknesses works for anything, really. If you think about it, any sport, if you improve your weakest skill, you're going to be a lot better athlete, a lot better player, because you're not going to have drastic weaknesses. So anyway, this is good. So I did 3 exercises today. Also trying to get through the workout quickly. So shorten the rest periods. That improves your GPP, general physical preparedness. Especially when you're doing these assisted exercises, you have to bang them out. Just go through them as hard as you can. If you're doing a max effort type thing and you're going for 1 rep max or something, then it makes sense to kind of drag it out a little bit. But this is purely GPP, so there's no point of resting too much, because the idea is to wear yourself out. Anyway, guys, that's all I got. Tomorrow we'll come in and do something different again, probably box squats. Oh God. See you guys.